this year. Did you choose it in? I don't know when you go about making these decisions, but it seemed awfully appropriate given some of the world events happening. Whether we think of January 6th or Ukraine, but what an appropriate play for this year.
You might be a little disappointed in this answer.
Okay, that's fine.
Hoosier Shakes hasn't done it yet. It's a very popular title, and I thought it paired well with The Merry Wives of Windsor, which is very silly and whimsical, and it makes a nice balance. Now, having said that, I've worked on Macbeth probably a half dozen times in the last 25 years, and so I think part of that too in picking it was the resonance. And actually this time, from the first day I heard them all read through it, and I think I said this, there were things in it I really hadn't heard before that really resonated because of the world of the last decade being a little bit different than when I've worked on Macbeth before.
Yeah. Any of you did this the juxtaposition or the timing of this play did bring to mind anything regarding events in the world?
I think something in Macbeth that a lot of people don't pay attention to is the slaughter against children. There are a lot of young people who die, and recently we've seen like people go into school buildings and shoot up children and their teachers. And I think it's very relevant that we are, doing this play around the times of these things happening here all over our country. So that comes up a lot for me.
Mm-hmm. I'll go on to another one. So we got plenty of questions. Some of the staging decisions. I know that I had the privilege of, I don't know if any of you noticed me, hope not actually, but not here, but I actually sat in on one of your early black box rehearsals, which I was really cool to watch you guys. That was actually the Merry Wives of Windsor that you were rehearsing that day. If I understand right, the first time through you, and this gives a little glimpse for you guys, first several times, you can correct me, but the actors just kind of come in and do your thing without any direction. Is that, and just to kind of see how it goes. So how many of the staging that you did here, I'd love to hear how some of it came about. In particular, I love the bit with the white flower with blood handed to Lady Macbeth in all white, and seemed to be a foreshadowing, and then the white flower coming up again during tomorrow. Just really beautiful. Well, how did that come about?
You want to talk about that?
Yeah. It's one of my favorite moments in the show where we get that. None of that is written into Shakespeare's original text. And it's one of the beauties of doing Shakespeare shows, right? Like, not fortunately, but like, he's dead and we can do whatever we want with a lot of his plays. And we can add in our own tidbits when we feel like there's a piece of information maybe missing or a way that we can bridge certain textual points together. And I had a lot of discussions with Doreen, our director, about the journey of Lady Macbeth and how we get from the end of the banquet to Out Damn Spot. We don't see her again after that. It's actually, it is a lot of Shakespeare's female characters experience a lot of their journey off stage rather than on, and it makes it difficult. It doesn't make it impossible, but it does make it difficult. And we were talking through how we could tell that story a bit more through non-textual moments, and she came up with the flower and kind of seeing that, because we see Macbeth start to hallucinate and starting to lose himself a bit. But that moment where she starts experiencing it as well, and the fact that it's linked to Banquo, who in our version of the show, she was not involved. That's when these two start to go on different paths. They do the initial murder together, but in our version of the show, and I've seen different versions of it where she is involved throughout the rest of the show, but in our version, she is not involved in any of the other murders, and she got what she wanted, right? So she got the title of queen, and after that, the fact that Banquo was a friend of theirs, and they start what happens after you get what you want, and which as the killing continues to happen, starts to snowball for her, that she starts to lose it in what the domino effect of what she has done. That's when she starts to lose it for herself. So I thought it was brilliant and so helpful as an actor that Doreen gave us those tools to kind of help us bridge that gap a little bit. I don't know if either of you also have something you wanted to add about the flower. We have forgotten it on stage before, and it is a tragedy.
Oh, no.
It only happened once, and will never happen again.
Yeah, I thought the decline, and I'm going to invite the audience in to ask here. The decline of Lady Macbeth was such a strong storyline in your production of it, and I thought, honestly, you did such an amazing job of going from this bitter, ambitious, with the filmy with gall, to the regret. You start to see the regret in your eyes almost immediately from the time. It was amazing. And so that crisscross trajectory of your of Lady Macbeth's falling apart as Macbeth amps it up, and I thought that contrast was just awesome.
Well, I think that in a lot of productions we see, not even a lot of productions. I think there are interpretations where. I guess what I mean is what I didn't want it to be initially. Doreen and I didn't know what we wanted, but we did know what we did want. It was for her to be just this bloodthirsty, power-driven, hard character. And so I think that in the beginning of the show, we really drive towards when that feeling of purpose. She says my felt purpose a lot. And when she gets what she wants, in that she finds that purpose, and then it is the decline, right? We wanted to go into the love between these two characters as opposed to them just being hard with each other the whole time. There are moments where, of course, they're angry and upset and scared. We say some of the harshest things to each other when we're scared in those moments, but we really wanted to focus on the connection and love between them that is so tragic that when they lose it. I don't know if you want to say anything, Josh, or no?
No, I think you're
Just kind of looking to if you any chiming in, feel free.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear more about the story behind this. This comes at the moments when it seems like Macbeth is feeling vulnerable, or how did you?
Yeah, do I need a microphone?
Yeah. Great question, Alia. Thanks.
Hello. So Doreen and I, one of the disciplines that Doreen, our director, tends to go into is very movement driven, and so we wanted to talk through some gestural things that could be used to sort of to be underneath the language and to help support some moments. I know there's a lot of stuff like that with the witches. There's a lot of gestural work that is done there, and for me, that was something that came about, I think, from one of Macbeth's first soliloquies. He talks about the simple thought of doing the murder that he wants to do, unfixing his hair and making his seated heart knock against his ribs against the use of nature, and that idea of your heart beating so fast that it feels like it's going to explode, and that's sort of that feeling of having to put pressure on that to keep it from doing so, was where that came from. And then I think it sort of, and we sort of, I had like a meeting with Doreen in playing around with a lot of the soliloquies that are present and like sort of trying to structure them in such a way. And that was one of the things that we sort of found was like, when is Macbeth, open-breasted, and when is he like concave? When does it collapse? Where is he defending or protecting that sort of like the underbelly in that sort of animalistic way of like, you don't want your belly to get slit and you're like protecting yourself because you're frightened. And that was another sort of the main thing that when I was talking with Doreen that I was really interested in exploring with the character is his fear. And fear is such a powerful motivator for most characters and things. Fear of what they have done or deserve, or things that they've done that they regret, and wanting to really show that kind of vulnerability through that deep-seated fear was sort of where those kind of gestures were meant to kind of support that kind of thing. But yeah.
It's fantastic. I'd like to follow up. I'd like to follow up actually with you talked about love, and when I talked to Greg about this, and I asked him what are some questions that he'd like, or that maybe you guys would like to be asked, he said the one question that you've talked about a lot is this idea that it's easy to see the hate, the ambition, the revenge, all of that, but to find where is there love in the story of Macbeth. I want to pose that first to the audience, though, and see what they think, and then would like to hear from you guys. Where do you see love in Macbeth?
Probably the finale.
Ooh.
Like, really strongly there.
Yeah.
Macduff and his children.
Yes.
He heard he lost his
Yes. Yeah. Where is Macduff's not up here? Man, he was right in front of me, and I thought I was going to cry with him. My word. And I want another staging, Macduff's son, handing that really intimate moment between you and Ross. That was another really cool little. I've never seen it played out that way, and that was a really cool segment. Really, really effective. Where else do you see love? Duncan?
Love Duncan as a king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's that really beautiful moment.
There's that really beautiful moment right towards it's in the first half where we're all outside and we're getting ready to go into Macbeth's castle, and Duncan, Ryan, our actor who plays Duncan, that's Ryan. Ryan's not out here, but anyway, just has a really good rapport, I think, with Emily up there playing Lady Macbeth. That just sets it up. Just it's that perfect layup for as soon as the murder happens. Oh, you're the worst.
Yes. Yes.
And that was something, in rehearsal that we found. And as soon as it happened, kind of everybody in the room was like, "Oh no, that's real. That's real bad." We also did this whole was it during our first read through when Doreen had us all do where it was? What were some of the questions? One was it was like, where do you feel love? Where do you feel? God, I wish I could remember all the things, but it was one of those things we all talked about, and it was like, where's the most violent? What was the most violent moment? That's what it was. It's like, what was the most brutal, most violent moment? And a lot of us said Macduff, when the kids get killed.
Yeah.
The whole family. But also, it's like, where's the most love? And a lot of us also put, Macduff when he's grieving his whole family dying, which is really interesting to see in this play.
Yeah. Yeah. Any of the rest of you on that question of love?
I think that love is shown in Banquo's sadness for Macbeth when they're comes a time where he starts to suspect Macbeth has done wrong, that his sadness for that loss, or that person in his life that he loves to an extreme, has gone down a different path, is pretty severe. So
Yeah, there's a lot that was said without being said in some of those early, right after the witches and Ross proclaims Eucador, and the glances that you guys had in there were that was fantastic. Yeah, you could see the sadness and love intermingled. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where it doesn't really, like, loss doesn't really matter unless whatever is lost was meaningful and important. And so I think that's where it's like, yeah, like for Banquo, for Macbeth's betrayal of Banquo and his murder of him, and like the murder of Duncan, and the seizing upon Macduff's keep and killing his family, all of these things were like there were these good things that existed that at every turn are tarnished in favor of this ambition or this fear of loss or whatever. And so I feel like it's I think one thing that was really important for, me and Emily and me and Haley, and I think like with everybody that worked with the Macduff subplot, I think was just like really trying to play finding the real like humanity in those relationships, so that when they fail and when they are destroyed, it matters, and it's not just some kid that we don't know or whatever. It's like it's his kid, and we see how that hurts him and that kind of thing. But yeah. Intermediary of the microphone.
Yeah, this is just such a human production of I have seen many productions of Macbeth that, as you said, that there's just anger and bitterness kind of through the whole thing. And there are tender moments between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. There are so many moments of real human pathos that you guys did just a phenomenal job with that. We're running out of time already, unfortunately. I want to get to the music, which was really cool. I would like to first ask the audience your perception of. So we had the first song. I'm gonna not the intermediate or the intro stuff, but kind of kicking off things. "King" by Florence and the Machine. That was the first one you sang, right? And then yes, I wish I was the moon. And oh gosh, that was gorgeous. And then Alleluia at the end. Those are the three main. Did I get that right? Those are the three that you had through. First of all, what was not typically, pop music isn't typically in Shakespeare. So what was your reaction as an audience to that?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
They're all talented.
Yeah.
Entertaining.
Yeah. Alex.
I thought it was a good way to show Lady Macbeth's story arc without adding more scenes.
Yeah.
I would say that was the point.
That's awesome.
Well, and it's awesome, right? Because it's a bit what I was talking about before, right? Where anything that can help us see that arc and see that journey a bit from where she is at the beginning of King. I am no mother, I am no bride, I am king. And then going to I wish I was the moon. She says, I feel numb. There's no pills to take for what I fear. And Layla coming in at the end with the candle that is her sense of comfort in Out Damn Spot, and handing that off. It's that I love the interactions I specifically get with the witches in that moment, because she has that huge speech where she's calling out to the witches, and this presence that they're kind of like always there with Lady through those songs, I think is awesome for me as an actor, and I think really helpful for the story.
I had no idea that even happened.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, Layla comes out and gives me the candle. Oh, it's great.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's like, I was just
And it's fun. Yeah.
Hallelujah at the end, specifically. So, first, Malcolm's the first verse seems to fit so well with this idea of putting things back together and measure time and place by the grace of grace. What a beautiful, and then to go from the grace of grace to hallelujah. I mean, wow, this reconciliation, just gorgeous. Some interesting lyrics, though, in the middle two verses especially, and I'm thinking, okay, the Samson stuff or the David Samson mixture, and the stuff that, but I putting in my head, is that Macbeth and letting Lady Macbeth kind of be the one to tempt him, and so retelling the story in a sense. But what really got me was the very last verse, as Macbeth and Lady Macbeth come on. What again? I want to pass this on to the audience for just a minute. What was your sense? What was the feeling you had when Lady Macbeth and Macbeth are embraced?
I couldn't look at it. I had to close my eyes and hear it. I
Yeah.
really couldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so powerful.
Mm.
I couldn't imagine that happening in today's world.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked up and saw Macbeth, I had to close my eyes.
Yeah.
But I wanted to take in the message, but I couldn't look at it.
I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah, George.
I think at that time, thereabouts, you had that broken hallelujah, right? Just the idea that this affects everyone. And just watching everyone, in essence, grieve evil that affects all of them. It's just so powerful.
Well said. Yeah.
The words grace and redemption came to my mind. And just the possibility of that is real, or we don't experience it terribly like we could or should, but what if?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So in viewing this moment, was there, did you guys always read as we were singing the song? Was there a point for y'all where were we always the characters in the song, or were we the people that are sitting in these chairs? I guess my question is, like, did you all, for the whole way of the song, did you feel like we were always still Macbeth and Lady Macbeth and Banquo or whoever, and like it was always characters? Okay.
I thought it transitioned to a curtain call. So, yeah, me too.
At the Macbeth embrace.
Yeah, because you got your head chopped off, so that's
Yeah.
I see now. Yeah, now I plot hole. Like, no, I thought I felt like character. It was like this weird blend mixture, because I felt almost like if there was a little CGI going on, that we had the characters. I love all that embrace, the lifting up, right? Malcolm lifting each one up at a time, and there's a story in every glance. There's this story, and we're gonna make things right. Things are being put to rights. And then when you guys came out, it was very much Lady Macbeth and Macbeth, and like it was hard to, like, could I forgive him? Holy cow! And then it kind of transitioned in a really good way, not necessarily to, oh, it's just the actors up there, but to an every man kind of, or an every person kind of a feeling, right? Like I felt like there was all of a sudden this thing of like, oh, that's the whole world we're looking at right there. That's a little bit how I felt.
Yeah, it seemed to speak of like healing, spreading out.
Yes.
And over time.
Yes.
Through some of that.
Yeah. Just beautiful, guys. Beautiful. I know you have a little bit of a drive home, and a long day tomorrow. So we won't keep you any longer. I want to honor that. And I will draw everyone to one last question. There are several others. Again, they're in the stage bill online. And thanks to, I know Greg's not here, but thanks to Greg for making that happen. That was really sweet of him to agree to do this. And thank you to all of you, really sweet of all of you to do this with us. Really appreciate it. There's one question on here somewhere. I don't know where it is, but somewhere on here. Number 2. That I think as we walk out, this isn't one to answer here, but what does this play have to say about human nature? And in what ways do you find the story or the characters forcing you to face something about yourself that is uncomfortable? So with that, I'll say thank you, and the Hoosier Shakespeare Festival.